Hello and welcome to the Heron Financial podcast. My name is Kiah Foster and today I will be chatting to Matt Coulson, who is the founder of Heron Financial.
Hello.
Hi, Matt. I just wanted to ask you a few questions today on technology because I know you built your own custom tech platform, which is Everglades. And recently you have been featured in a number of news articles for your rapid adoption in the AI space and putting all your staff through AI apprenticeships.
Yeah.
And I know you have a features list for Everglades that makes my jaw drop, quite frankly. So I thought it'd be cool to come here and chat to you about that journey and what you're doing, because I get asked all the time.
What's the secret sauce? No pressure. I think for us, it's always been a big part of what we do. And latterly, obviously, the technology has advanced to a degree where you can do more with less. So it's really about a continuation of a journey. You know, that's been the key thing for us, is that we built Everglades really to solve a couple of small problems. I mean, small in the sense of not many of them, not in the scale of what they could cause. And it has just gone crazy from there. You know, the features that we've added, the new parts to the software I'm with you, kind of mind blown, but I'm a bit of a nerd. So it's going to feel that way to me.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Either you're easily impressed, I don't know. But it just feels like a natural progression.
Yeah.
Based on what we've done.
And is that because, so I think the average mortgage journey, depending on the factors, is about 2 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Is the reason you built your own tech platform was because you're like, I just want to be on the front foot with this and make this quicker for the client? Like, why did you build your own platform? Because from what I know, it's expensive and it's hard. Why was that?
It is both of those things, yeah. And to answer your question, partially for the client, partially for the introducer partners that we work with. So, you know, our business model, it involves lots of different partnerships. So it could be house builders, could be estate agents. And of course, we want to make the client journey as quick, easy, painless as possible. That should, in theory, be obvious. But it's as much about catering for those builder partners and those estate agent partners as that, because we know that they already have lots to do. You know, we already know that there's a ton of pressure on the process generally, whether it be on the legal side, whether it just be on the whole kind of reserving or having an offer accepted. It's quite onerous. It can be quite time consuming. There might have been weeks of negotiation before somebody says, yes, you can buy this property. And so we know that when it comes to us, we've got to get our skates on. So clearly the client wants that, but also it's really important for us that we make sure that we're catering for those partners that we work with as well. Yeah.
And how does it cater to those partners? Is it just they have more transparency over the journey? Like, how does it work from their perspective?
That for sure. I think, you know, we get lots of introductions from partners who like to work with us because we do keep it really clear to them. So there's obviously things like GDPR that we need to be mindful of. And therefore certain parts of the interaction that we have with a customer will remain private for obvious reasons. But it's really important that we can signpost those key milestones on the journey. So let's say, for example, a customer is introduced to us via a house builder, for example, and that house builder just wants to know, when is the application submitted? When is the valuation instructed? When is the valuation back? When is the offer issued, etc.? These are really kind of key milestones within that mortgage application. Our software is designed to just automatically let them know.
Yeah.
And providing the client is happy with us disclosing that, it really streamlines the whole thing, because it actually saves the client having to have the conversation with the builder or with the estate agent, because we're kind of having it for them. And that is, you know, it's a really simple thing. Clearly it does a lot more than that. But that alone is something that we get a lot of praise for, because it's very easy to see what's happening in real time, which in turn reduces the amount of work that they need on their side. And
I guess in that real time sense and capturing all the client information, that data is incredibly valuable to them.
Oh yeah, massive.
Yeah.
And I think if the customer's okay with it, a degree of sort of information sharing can save them re-entering the same information.
Yeah, who wants
to? You know, there's a lot of discussion at the minute in our industry around horizontal digital integration, which sounds a bit wordy, and it is.
What is that?
Yeah.
For the layman.
Yeah. Effectively, the best way I can put it is, for anybody that's bought a house, you probably got used to giving the same information out over and over and over again. And that is an issue that we have, particularly in England. Scotland is a little bit ahead, actually, in terms of that process. It's a lot more streamlined. It's better as far as I'm concerned. But this re-entry of the same information is kind of crazy. And there's a big sort of cross-industry discussion going on. There's lots of fantastic work being done by the likes of the Open Property Data Association, who are trying to bring all these stakeholders together. And that's great to see. But we want to try and bring that down to a sort of granular level with the introducers that we work with the builders and the agents that we work with. And if they can share information for the client, on the behalf of the client with us, and we can then reduce the level of information that we need to gather from the client as a result, it's going to be better for everybody.
Yeah. And I can imagine there's a lot of clients you would talk to, essentially your partner's clients, that aren't quite ready yet. And then you have nurture, and then you can deliver it back to them. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We sort of act as an extension of them in the right circumstance. So again, if that client has opted into continued contact, and frankly, why wouldn't they if we're giving them valuable information? A big part of our operation is that we want to educate people. Like, we want to be there to give a client information to help them understand this stuff, rather than just tell them what to do. Yeah. Because if you can have them understand it, then they actually become easier to work with. We find that our clients are very appreciative of what we can explain to them and how we can help them. And then they become easier for us to work with, and they tend to be repeat customers as a result of that. So we can continue to nurture a client, to give them helpful information if for whatever reason they couldn't proceed first time round. And then when they're ready, we can bring them back to the agent or the introducer, whoever it might have been that first brought that client to us, and effectively they're in a better position to proceed.
Wow, that's amazing. And for the client, I assume this whole process with having your own system, you've simplified that as best as I've seen in the industry. Can you explain that?
Yeah. The thing is, it's not rocket science. Yeah. It's basically just trying to make it straightforward for somebody to give you information. Now, whether that be document sharing, whether it be getting access to things like their Experian file, etc., that's the sort of thing that to me should be a given. Unfortunately, it isn't across the board. It's not everywhere. We definitely aren't perfect, but I think we're always trying to strive to make that slightly simpler. So if we can help a client to give us information in a way that's quicker, easier, more straightforward for them, then it helps them, and it helps the house builder or the agent that they're buying through as well.
Because I know you're increasingly making the process more and more digital, for convenience, for time, for everything. But what part of the journey do you see should never be digital?
The advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a really obvious one. I think the regulator is helping in that respect, because there's some interesting work going on now whereby the FCA are looking carefully at sort of digital advice. Yeah. Robo advice has been something that's been thrown around in years gone by. And whilst they seem quite keen to help people streamline the information delivery, the message that we get from the regulator is that they're very keen still for people to get advice. It might sound really, really obvious, but in the world that we live in now, in November 25, we're recording this, you can go online and you can talk to an AI, and it's bordering on mortgage advice as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
but
I've tried it.
Yeah, I bet. Me too.
I didn't know if it was correct, but I was like, that sounds pretty good.
It's pretty compelling. Yeah, be persuasive. Always check.
Yeah.
But I think, that's something that we need to be mindful of.
Yeah.
Not to be fearful of, but just to be mindful of. And for us, the bit that absolutely has to stay front and center, despite all of the things going around the edges, is somebody talking to a person who's a mortgage or a protection advisor and just getting into it, and getting into that conversation. And we find that it just helps smooth the process a lot better.
Yeah. While we're on that digital only journey, your efforts in the AI space have been published, as I said, in a number of news publications. Why? What are you doing that's so leading edge, just cutting edge at the moment?
The thing is, if I look at other industries, I don't know if it is leading edge. Maybe I'm doing us a disservice here, but I just look at some areas of my life, for instance, other services, other products, and it feels as if the mortgage and protection industry is perhaps a couple of steps back.
Yeah,
I think in terms of customer experience, bringing AI in. Now, clearly, the regulatory aspect plays a part.
Yeah, I was going to say there's also the client sensitive information that would delay all of that.
Hugely, hugely. And that's where we've had to be very careful with implementation, because whilst you want to be in a bit of a rush to give the customer a brilliant experience. You also need to be careful with how you do it. So I'm not sure what we're doing is necessarily leading edge, but we take little bits from other areas that we see, other industries that we see, whether that just be having, an out of hours AI agent dealing with a customer's inquiries. Really simple, that exists everywhere right now, but it's not so much in mortgages.
Yeah. Is this Lily?
She is. Yeah, she is Lily. She's a person, sort of.
Lily's fantastic.
Yeah, she is fantastic. She's a great member of staff.
Never takes any
holidays. Yeah, no, she's good. And whilst I think some people would absolutely prefer to talk to a person, which I get.
Yeah.
Lily does handle quite a lot of inquiries out of hours. But even just, you and I could talk as an advisor and a client. The AI will then serve me as your advisor, a transcript of our conversation, summarize it, and then allow me to give you an email that's got all the detail in, attach all the illustrations, all the important things around advice. Like, why shouldn't that be a 2-minute job as opposed to a 30-minute job? And, these are not, as I say, leading edge things, but they're things that we've implemented and they've massively sped up that customer journey and led to better outcomes as well.
Do you see the Lilies of the world essentially taking some advisor roles?
Yeah. I do.
And I'm glad you said yes, because I think sometimes I watch these sort of AI podcasts and stuff, and I think they're absolutely going to take your job.
Yeah, no.
How do you?
Well, let's
not shy away from it.
No, we shouldn't. And I think, do I think it's the right thing? No. Do I think it will happen in some cases? Yes, sadly. I've said a couple of times recently that I don't think AI is going to replace mortgage advisors.
No.
But I do think mortgage advisors that use AI to help them to become better will replace mortgage advisors that don't. Yeah. So that's where we're going to go. Is we're going to go to a space where if you're using the technology as something that's, use the Microsoft language, a co-pilot, something that sits alongside you and helps you do your job, you're probably going to be way more efficient than the person that isn't.
Yeah.
And therefore that person that isn't might find themselves in a tough spot. And that's not to denigrate the person that isn't, because they might be a fantastic advisor, but unless they're enabled by these tools, their customers might go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think about, now that we have this technology, it's like when you are going for I think I've read something, when you're filling out a home application, that's probably the most amount of data you're ever going to give to anyone for anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, what else can we do with that? That's where it becomes interesting to me. So yes, mortgage advisors might get replaced, but like, what else can there be done? There's probably loads more we can do with it.
Yeah, there's so much. And again, if I think about both sides of the coin, which I always have to try, effectively we kind of have two clients. We have our client that we're giving advice to and we're helping to take their mortgage. They will always come first. But we also have whoever it may have been that introduced that client, if it was a professional introduction. So, if we know that, for example, we've helped one of your clients to buy a home, let's say on the development that you're selling properties, if you're a house builder, for example, it might well be that in the future we can have an agent show them new stages or phases of that same development and then help them to understand what their mortgage affordability might look like in the future. So using the data to help the customer to achieve their own financial goals
and then client for life
and then come back.
Yeah.
It's eminently possible. Yeah. All of this is possible if we just talk about it. And I think a lot of the time, if you speak with a client, they really like the idea of that because
it's easy.
Yeah. Also, a lot of this stuff's quite boring.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can say to you, look, you want to buy again in the future. Do you want me to just let you know when that moment is there and show you what might be possible? Why would you not want to see that option, right? It's pretty dull to go and do it yourself or remember.
Yeah.
So we think that that's the direction of travel.
Yeah. What is your current turnaround time? If I'm a client, I'm coming to you. What is your current turnaround time at the moment?
Well, there's various stages. If I just talk about obtaining a mortgage offer for somebody, we did have one last week that offered in one day.
No way.
Yeah, that's not the norm, but we did have one. There are lenders out there at the moment.
That was a happy client.
We almost had to be like, delay it by a day,
so they don't think it's fake.
Justify, what we're doing. But yeah, it can happen. Wow. If you get everything right at the start and the lender is suitably digitally enabled as well, automatically verifying people's income, maybe a desktop valuation. So that's all digitally delivered, etc. So that's a bit of an outlier. But I would say at the moment, sub 2 weeks.
Wow.
For your average mortgage offer. And that's making sure that we've got everything ready. generally we're sort of at the limits of what lenders can do, really, because as much as we can gather in information from a client and get everything ready from our side, if the lender is particularly busy or short-staffed, whatever it might be, we're beholden to them.
Yeah.
So,
but I know you're on top of that because I know some of your staff's job is to actually just call them and
relentlessly
stay on top of the
hound them. Yeah. They see our number and think, oh, no.
Everyone's
They're going to ring for 58 different case updates. But yeah,
good.
we do.
Yeah, squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to do it, and so I would say sub 2 weeks is what you can expect.
Yeah. Okay, so we've spoken about everything you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Dare I ask, what's next?
Yeah. What's next? Me stood in front of a bank of screens just going like this.
In a dark room.
Yeah, in a dark room.
That's where I picture you actually every day.
That's quite sad. Not far from the truth. No, I think what's next is we obviously want to continue to push the boundaries, always with those kind of two tracks in mind. So how can we deliver like a knockout best in class customer journey, right? That's absolutely the key. It's inevitable, I think, that we will be employing some more AI agents within that. We have to upskill our team, and we are continuing to do that. So we've got a number of our team now undertaking an AI apprenticeship because we want them to be able to work alongside this technology. So the next steps, I think, for us is to continue the AI rollout within the business so that customers feel like there is that kind of seamless AI human interaction and it's good for them. But also, how can we continue to push some of those nurture journeys that you mentioned? So if we are going to have those really deep and meaningful professional partnerships, be it agents, house builders, financial advisors, etc., how can we use some of those natural trigger points, those life stages where we're delivering suggestions to the client that are useful to them, but also can be useful to our partners as well, and everybody then wins. So it's just constantly striving for this utopia of everybody winning
and being an extension of their business.
Exactly.
I think that would be a great place to close. If you're listening to this and you are interested in partnering with Heron Financial, how would they contact you?
So website is always a good place. You can find all of our details on there. We're on all the socials you can imagine as well. So LinkedIn, TikTok, Insta, Facebook, everything, you name it. Just drop us a message and we'd love to chat.
Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.